All right, Bruce. Bruce, you're on. Finally. Thanks for waiting.
I'm a very patient person, no problem.
So I want to know, Bruce, you've been a part of the West Klosterman Preserve because it's not just a fight for these 9 state parks. There are so many green spaces in Florida that have potential for development right now. So would you mind telling us a little bit about the West Klosterman Preserve?
Well, just to kind of start, the WK Preservation Group, it's a 501c3 group that this is the inaugural project for, and it was recognizing that we have these small habitat value properties out there that still need protecting. And the West Klosterman, it's just slightly under 14 acres. It adjoins the Mariners Point Management Area managed by Pinellas County. And this habitat is scrub and sandhill habitat. Florida Natural Areas Inventory recognizes that as globally imperiled habitat. We have less than 3% of our longleaf pine sandhills left in the southeastern U.S., and certainly far less than that here in the Tampa Bay area, certainly in Pinellas County. Pinellas County is more than twice more densely populated than the next most densely populated county in Florida, which is Broward County. And, we see this rapid development. In my line of business, I go down these country roads, or what used to be country roads, and it's miles of massive developments going in everywhere. And it's, we see that all over the state and probably well outside of the state in many areas of our country. I think it's just so important for the diversity of our plants and our wildlife that we start making sure that we are preserving as much wild habitat as we can. So, this particular property, the West Klosterman Preserve, it's been owned for several decades by the Pinellas County School Board. The Pinellas County School Board had identified it as surplus property. They no longer saw any road forward to want to do any kind of development on it. And the local neighborhood group kind of noticed that they were entertaining some discussions with developers that wanted to buy the property and be able to develop it into townhomes. So the neighborhood, after taking notice, formed this group. And it's not just a local neighborhood group anymore. We've got people from all over the country that are making donations and supporting this effort. We've got, I live in South St. Pete. I don't live in Tarpon Springs in that immediate area. We had another board member also from St. Pete. We have a pretty widespread area of people that are helping us to try to make sure this property gets preserved. So, these habitat value properties like the West Klosterman Preserve, I spent my career, my life growing, selling, designing, promoting native plants, and my organization support restoration, people that do restoration. And I've always found that to be a really important thing that we need to put back into our landscapes, what we've taken away. But the job one that we can all do, that's the most significant thing in conservation and preservation, is to save these properties like the West Klosterman Preserve, saving natural habitat, because we would have a really hard time restoring and putting back these habitats. We just need to hold on to them. They act as corridors for our wildlife and our pollinators, our whole chain of life that we depend on. We have plants that, we need to preserve also that diversity in our natural areas. So, this is just to us a really important thing. We'd like to wrap up this project and this campaign and be able to move on to other properties that we're identifying locally that we would like to be able to put into preservation as well and have advantage for the wildlife and the plants.
So let me reintroduce the show, and we have like 3 callers. Apparently, people are feeling strongly about this. So maybe you can field some callers in a second. You are listening to the Sustainable Living Show, coming to you live from the studios of 88.5 FM WMNF Tampa. Today, we are talking about protecting Florida's green spaces. We have local native plant expert Bruce Turley in with us today. If you want to join the conversation, give us a call at 813-239-9663. Text us at 813-433-0885 or send me an email at dj@wmnf.org.
Okay, so Bill, would you introduce our caller, please?
Yes, I do have a trifecta here. I've got Jerry in Clearwater, Eric Palm Harbor, and Amy in St. Pete. And it looks like Jerry might be a little anxious to get on the line. He's been a regular caller before.
Thanks for holding, Jerry.
Yes, we appreciate it. Jerry, you're live on the air.
All right, thank you for taking my call. Look here, ever since the Republicans, starting with Jeb Bush, going on to Rick Scott, and now with this disaster, DeSantis, have gone about a planned obsolescence of our parks, between letting them go into disarray by privatizing, then by trying to sneaky Pete sell off the land. And this last back door behind the thing, it's all about private money for private people. These state parks were designed to be parks, a green space for animals, not condominiums, not any of this stuff. Stay on point with these parks and enforce the damn sunshine law. These people should be wearing orange.
Well, that's great. Yeah.
Thanks for calling, Jerry. I appreciate it.
Sunshine law. Thank you.
Yes.
Love you guys a lot. Take care and stay on
Love you
point.
too. Thank you so much.
Bruce, Jerry, you want to respond to Jerry?
Well, I can't disagree with them.
Yes.
When it comes to protecting our parks. I'm 68 years old. I grew up, in South Florida, and we have so many people that come here and move here. In my years of living out my life in this state, I have seen so much decline in our environment and our species. When I was a kid, you used to see our native green anoles everywhere. They've been overtaken by invasive species. We used to have a great diversity of our native frogs. At the nursery, we used to have the summer thunderstorms come up, and I would have tree frogs that would start calling as soon as the clouds would move in. We don't hear that anymore. I would go on trips to pick up wildflowers in Micanopy, and coming back to densely populated Pinellas County, I would pick up all these plants that would be inside the cab of my truck with me, and I'm going down the highway, and I'm seeing all these different insects on the windshield, that are coming out of the plants. And I thought, I haven't seen some of these critters in so long. Yeah. Our parks are important repositories for these creatures and our plants. One of my early colleagues and mentors, used to get really upset because she loved to spend time out in our state parks. And she would get upset when people were out there being rowdy instead of listening to the bird calls, listening to nature, and observing when an eagle flies over. Yeah. And, when we put active recreation in these places, that's a step backwards. It's a step backwards from, nature and being able to appreciate nature.
That's absolutely the truth. We're concentrating on grabbing that disc or hitting that ball, or, it's not even being a part of nature. It's not even, that could happen anywhere. It shouldn't, in a park, what's the point?
Well, and that's why it's important to there's a difference between the passive parks and the recreation parks.
That's exactly right.
There's a difference for a reason. It's because when you make a passive park a recreation park, the animals leave and stuff gets trampled on. You have to have that sort of separation.
We really do. We have a couple more callers. So, Bill, would you like to introduce the next one, please?
Yes, I do have Eric. As I said, Ann is there, and Daryl just snuck on in. So let's go to Eric.
Okay.
Eric, welcome to the Sustainable Living Show. Do you have a question for our guest?
Yes. I more or less know what's kind of going on, but I would ask to let everybody know about the upcoming events and protests and sign waving, and just get involved. I am the admin of the sister group of the John Dickinson Park, and that group grew up to over 50,000 in less than a day, and we're up towards 4,000 now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're up towards 4,000 now. We organized the 2 sign wavings at Honeymoon Island this weekend, and it was a really, really big success. Lots of news stations came out and covered it, and we had a really good turnout yesterday.
I posted that on my page as well.
Well, Eric, send us an email with more information about the protest, and we're happy to share it.
Sure.
Yes.
Thanks for calling.
And is the native plant was there today? Is that you?
Yes, Bruce Turley, with native plant specialist.
And you guys will be out there tomorrow at 2 o'clock for the honeymoon thing?
Bruce?
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people there. I personally have a conflict tomorrow morning with a meeting. It's a really important meeting, but certainly we're promoting, certainly any of these activities that help this issue with our state parks and the WK Preserve.
Just to note, the meetings were canceled because of the public response. So they haven't reset the dates for the time. They say around September 2nd, but I would stay right on top of it because I've heard a lot of different things because they have to secure some bigger venues.
So tomorrow at 2 o'clock at Honeymoon Island, some public officials and some politicians are speaking out against it. And we're going to do kind of like what we were going to do for the 27th meeting, but kind of have what we had planned. People took off work already from what I'm finding out over the weekend. And so we're going to allow those people to take that day and get a good warm up to the public speaking that's ahead.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for organizing it. It's great of you to do it. All right, and I think we have another, thanks for calling in, and I think we have another call or two.
Oh, yeah, don't shortchange the interest in this show here. I've got Amy, Daryl, and, well, we'll start with just Amy and Daryl.
Okay.
Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to mention that I hate to come up, sounding partisan or one side or the other, because I really think that both sides degrade one thing or the other. It's either you got to protect your right to speech, or you have to protect your right to nature. So we have to stay on top of it. We have to stay diligent and be involved in what's going on with our government locally and higher. But it was Ron DeSantis that took away the protections of the trees on a mass scale. Didn't matter what size the trees were. So that's a big hit. And then now, if they don't have any money for the overpasses that we need for these busy roads and that cut right through, US 19 and you name it, the highways, what happened? We don't have the money for overpasses, but suddenly we have money for all these golf courses. So,
and we don't have money to take care of the green spaces we have.
Yeah, to maintain what we have. And just to let you know, what happened is DeSantis removed all the local laws about the trees, and he made it a statewide blanket. And so we all had different ones wherever we were, and it was more related to each city. And those are not there anymore, and that's what that is.
Right, and one thing we could do just real quick is that we could work on the Florida Building Code. It has all these different sections, right? It has structure, it has insulation and energy, it has plumbing, electrical, it has each genre. So there should be an environmental Florida Building Code, and
absolutely
it has its own building code. As you probably know, the rest of the United States code goes under one, so we could work on it internationally or with Florida. And I did want to ask the gentleman about the moringa tree. Somebody said it's invasive, but it's edible. So can I put it in my pot and my moringa?
Bruce?
Yeah, so I know there's a lot of people that love the moringa and the benefits that it provides. I would just warn people to really take notice. I have not seen that show up on the invasive list. I've heard talk about it. I think, if you're growing moringa or you're interested in it, you really need to pay attention to whether it gets listed as invasive or not. I know from some neighbors that have it here, they're not very wind tolerant. And, that's kind of a problem with a lot of non-native plants, that they're not adapted to things like, our tropical storms. And you got to be careful where you place them, certainly. But I really think that people need to pay attention. I really think that food plants and medicinal plants, anything that we can grow on our own is a good thing. We just have to be careful that what we're growing doesn't harm our environment, and we need to pay attention to the.
That's a great answer.
Mine did. I
Thank
grew
you so
one
much
in a
for calling,
pot.
Amy.
Yeah, thanks for calling, Amy. Just make sure you get those seed pods off before they pop.
All right, thanks.
All right, and now I believe, Bill, do we have another caller? No, we do.
No, we do. We've got one more. We've got Daryl from St. Pete. Good morning, Daryl.
Yeah,
Hi, Daryl. You're live on the air.
I've been through most of the parks in the state of Florida, paddling, mountain biking, hiking, etc., and been in this fight for a long time. And just a reminder, a lot of people forget the Florida State Constitution, Article 2, Section 7. I'll just read the very first part of it. Natural resources and scenic beauty. It shall be the policy of the state to conserve and protect its natural resources and scenic beauty. Adequate provision shall be made by law for the abatement of air and water pollution and of excessive and unnecessary noise, and for the conservation and protection of natural resources. Then it goes on about the Everglades and so on.
That's incredible.
That is great if they followed their own rules.
But
I
the
feel
point
like
is I'm wondering why I've been fighting for decades, asking Audubon and Sierra Club, etc. I said, why are you not using the highest laws of the state of Florida?
Right.
Article 2, Section 7. I said, it clearly states these things, including the noise
says
abatement. You
ideas
know, with straight pipes, all that kind of thing. I said, that's, that should be
the
available.
problem is that it says those ideas in theory, and it doesn't actually say we will not spray herbicides, we will not spray pesticides, we will not plant like invasives. It doesn't specify, so it's left up to the interpretation of whoever is in charge, and the care of, in their mind, could be golf courses. That's why we get stuck in the position that we're in.
Yeah.
But it does say natural resources and scenic beauty. It defines that.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I think that if we were following those rules that are written down, then we would not be in as big of a mess as we are in today. But thank you so much for reading it. I really appreciate you calling in. And we will let you go now and go on to more of the show. We're listening. Thank you. You're listening to the Sustainable Living Show, coming to you live from 88.5 FM, WMNF Tampa. Today, we're talking about protecting Florida's green space. We have local native plant expert Bruce Turley with us today. And if you want to join this conversation, give us a call at 813-239-9663, text us at 813-433-0885, or email at dj@wmnf.org, and we will read it on there. We have a lot, so we're not getting to everything.
And we're definitely not getting to everything. And I do want, because Bruce is here specifically to talk about, the West Klosterman Preserve, and I do want to give Bruce an opportunity to tell us why these 14 acres are so important to the local ecosystem before you know what I mean? I know that there's another person waiting. We have some more emails, but I also want to give Bruce a chance.
Yeah. And one thing I want to throw out there too, Bruce, is that at 3% of what you just said, of what is left in that, I think it was the sandpine, that is that enough to be sustainable? That sounds a little sketchy to me, that could even last. And how long would that last? Well,
I'm sorry.
There's two questions there. Sorry about that.
We're inundating you.
Well, again, there is a lot of work going on in longleaf pine sandhill restoration, which is a good thing, trying to bring back some of that habitat. But why don't we preserve what little bit is left so we don't continue to go backwards instead of forwards? The West Klosterman Preserve is one property that's a great example, something that, we can do as a community to preserve this property. And I really don't want to let the time in this interview get away today without making sure that everybody knows that they can go to our website. If they do a search for it's wkpreserve.com. They can go to a search on their search engine for West Klosterman Preserve or WK Preservation. To get to the website, under our projects is a ton of information, including videos, and a great deal of information, plant lists, animal lists, the whole bit is on that website that people can go there and learn more about.
Can you explain what sort of endangered plants and what sort of endangered animals are living in this preserve that pretty much don't have anywhere else to go because of development?
Well, first of all, we want to recognize that it's the habitats, the sandhill and the scrub there that is imperiled. That's first off the list. Certainly there's a substantial population of state listed as threatened gopher tortoises there. We have the endangered giant air plant, endangered again because we introduced a beetle that's destroying the populations of this plant, but we have healthy plants in this preserve and it is home to that endangered plant. We have, some just things that are otherwise going to be rare with the loss of these habitats. One of the things that's in this preserve is a small rosemary bulb. We would love to see that rosemary bulb restored by allowing it to get the sunlight and the conditions that it needs to be able to regenerate itself. In Pinellas County, there's only a couple of locations that I know of with rosemary bulbs. One in Fort DeSoto, one at the Gladys Douglas Preserve, and this one at the West Klosterman. There's probably some others that I don't know about, but it's a fairly rare plant and part of that habitat that we still have intact.
And so you mentioned that this property is owned by the school board, and so they are giving, without mentioning prices, they're giving the local group an opportunity, but also a time frame to buy it. So how much longer do you have in order to buy it? And I, without mentioning funds, but mention where people can learn to help.
Yeah, again, the website is where people can go to help. As far as our time frame, this project has gone on for 4 years. Everybody is anxious to see this program wrap up. We're anxious as an organization to moving on to saving other properties. So we have, till the middle of September that we want to be able to wrap this project
you
up.
have 2 weeks left.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks left.
So after 4 years of work, you have 2 weeks left, so you could really use a big push.
Yeah, we're getting a big push. We need more,
Yeah.
We had some delays because of the time frame that it took for Pinellas County to get the actual legal contract together. A year ago, of course, the county commission did approve $1.5 million to help our cause. And, we've had this non-partisan support, which is great. Ever since the contract and in the recent month leading up to trying to wrap up this project, we have seen tremendous donations coming in. We've had some great challenges and matches from some major donors. And, we're just on the final stretch. We really would like to get people's attention with this and get them to tune in to us and help us out.
Yeah, and so let me see. Bill, do we still have a caller waiting?
No, we do not. The boards are dark here.
I'm sorry, John. If you want to call back, I know you're waiting for a while, but I wanted to make sure that that Bruce had an opportunity. So you're listening to the Sustainable Living Show, coming to you live from the studios of 88.5 WMNF in Tampa. Today we're talking about protecting Florida green spaces. We are talking about the West Klosterman Preserve right now. We have local native plant expert Bruce Turley in with us today. If you want to join the conversation, give us a call at 813-239-9663. Text us at 813-433-0885 or email dj@wmnf.org.
And since we have just a couple of minutes, we're right in the middle here, I'm going to go ahead and announce some events.
We have emails.
Oh, we have emails?
Oh, yeah. So, and I want to...
Well, go to Protect Hillsborough River State Park, go online, Facebook with that, and then also just go on Facebook and look for everything. And we're still gathering, and that's the one down at Save Our Parks, our state parks, Protect and Preserve. And there's also a SUAC meeting, back to school, back to gardening, SUAC, look it up.
Oh, sorry. I'll read the first email, and they want to know if without talking money, is there a fund matching plan in place that will be expiring?
Yeah, we've had one from a gentleman that was a former owner of Friendly Kia, and that was a $50,000 match. I believe we've met that match with that particular fund. We would love somebody to step up and make a big contribution, and we can do it as a match.
Okay.
We'll have a couple weeks, and usually these match contributions that we've had get great responses, and we get that money collected really fast from those matches.
Okay, well, there you go. If somebody wants to start a match, go ahead. Annie has 2 more emails.
Okay, so this one's good. It's from David, Mr. White Pepper Bryant. He says, I love watching DeSantis falling and flailing. I celebrate all his failures. He's a vindictive little guy, and I hope karma catches up to him soon. So pleased to see that citizen action helped kill this ridiculous golf course proposal. Not kill, I want to say it killed one, they withdrew one plan.
And
that's it.
And it's not saying that they're still not going to do it.
That's
the
right.
person who made the plan said
They didn't want their name.
they backed out.
They didn't want their name all plastered everywhere.
But they could find somebody else to do it.
Totally. So anyway, bipartisan citizen action, power to the people, booyah. Also, especially great reporting by Max Chesney at the Tampa Bay Times, helped tremendously, really did. Okay, and then there's from Bubba, there's bipartisan support to leave Florida state parks natural. Foes of honor folks tried to sneak in this ridiculous proposal and failed. It's great that democracy works sometimes. And they have 3 different names that I know of, and they have all the same address. So it makes me wonder, why do they have to keep changing their names? It makes me wonder. So it makes me uncomfortable, actually. So, Bruce, is there anything else that you'd like to let us know that people need to know to make sure about letting everybody help and preserve our green spaces, specifically help you? Anything you'd like to say that maybe we haven't covered?
Yeah, I would I just double checked, and I see that our matching campaign from Mr. John Gillis, Mr. Friendly, is still on the website. So that's still there. Again, I really hope that people will go to wkpreserve.com to learn more about this campaign and our organization and this effort to save the West Klosterman Preserve. There's a lot of information there. We have plenty of pages on that website, and I particularly would direct people to the page that says our projects, because there's a ton of information about this specific project, the West Klosterman Preserve. So I really hope that.
Awesome. Can you give the website one last time and spell it out?
Yeah, hopefully everybody doesn't get totally distracted by the state park thing that's going on. We need this local preserve saved. So again, it's the WK, as in West Klosterman. It's the wkpreserve.com. So please go there for tons of information about what we're up to.
Awesome.
Thanks, Bruce. We really appreciate you being here.
Yeah.